Hello everyone, welcome to this evening's, this morning's daily live stream practice. It is the 7th of April and I'm working with the concept of wet media sketches this month, and we have this amazing reference to work from of True, photographed by Amy Horowitz of Don't Smile NYC, incredible Instagram account. So True's Instagram is here and Amy's is here. Such an amazing photographer. We have drawn a couple of her photos as references in my live stream series, and it's always a treat, and I love seeing the wonderful faces that Amy captures shared on Instagram. And I got in touch with True and asked if we could work from this piece, and she's happy for us too, and is a professional model and a college student studying computational economics and starting to make comics, which is so cool. So thank you so much, True, that we're able to work from your photo. And thank you, Amy. And thank you to everyone who was here in the live chat. I'm going to be trying to keep this pretty brief. I'm thinking maybe about 20 minutes, which is a very almost uncomfortably tight timeline for me when I'm working with watercolor. But I'm trying to change the way I work with watercolor a little bit, so that when I return to longer pieces, that I'm able to kind of relax into it with this new wealth of experience gained throughout this month's practice. So hi Lisbeth, Kiki, Leslie, Martina, Jörg and Lewis. Buenas noches. Thank you for being here. If you're watching live, say hello in the chat. If you're watching the replay, say hello in the comments. And let's start this portrait. Hi Cindy. I did a little bit more on yesterday's of Burke, and I'll just show you that before we get started. I just added some pencil on top of the watercolor painting. So this is the same piece as yesterday, but just with a little bit of pencil added for definition. And it was interesting, just like briefly adding some pencil on top of all that looseness just gave me a feeling of security and safety after the wetness and the way I was working yesterday. So we'll see how today's goes. Leslie is here live. Hi 10. Hi Kiki. Kiki says hi Kira. Let's do it, so everyone can get to bed. It is the Easter vacation here, spring break. All kids all around, not yet adapted to daylight savings. Here we go. So how's everyone doing? Oh, June, you're busy doing my Let's Face It class. That's very cool. I can't wait to see your results. Yeah, so the past week has been my full lesson in the Let's Face It class, which is a year-long portraiture class. I'm one of, I think, 26 or maybe even 30 teachers teaching this year. And it's been really amazing seeing people's take on what I cover in the tutorial. So that's been really cool to see. Thank you for everyone who has been participating. I don't know. Been having this idea that maybe I'll work towards like going straight to paint, but it's something I don't do a lot of. Hi Rave 222. But maybe. And I'm feeling comfortable working with non-realistic colors with these paintings. It lets me think about values rather than trying to figure out like how the colors actually are. So I think I've got this, I think it's called, it's a kind of quinacridone red light or something. I'm going to go with that and begin. Just so I have some idea, I'm going to put the timer on. keep track of myself, and let's go. Let's do it. How is everyone? How is your Monday? So I added a little bit to the piece from yesterday with pencil, and I also added a little bit to my Procreate portrait. On Saturday, I led the workshop on shapes in Procreate via Zoom, which was really cool. And it took a while to get through lots of things, but we did get through lots of things. But I felt after it was finished that I wanted to spend some more time on it. So I did. And I can show you at the end of this, I'll show you what I kind of, where I took it. Because it was, it's always fun as well. I just did a few of these. You can do a layer, which is just a block of color, something on there. On top of when you feel like your Procreate image is done, you can like magically transform it, which is so cool, just by adding a colored layer and playing around with layer properties, which is really, really cool. And so I did that a bit today as well and had some very interesting results. So recently I've been showing you my older Procreate portraits at the end of the streams leading towards the workshop, and I thought today I can show you these color variations that I played around with as I continued after the workshop and got the image to a level of completion that I felt good about. And it's interesting, this thing of like, when does something feel finished? And sometimes it can be super brief and finished, and sometimes it can take a long time and feel far from being finished. But often I realize, and what I realized after the workshop, that I got to a stage where I felt like, it's not quite done. And as I kept going, I realized it's often about value, and it's about having the contrast, just the relationship between light and dark right. If you don't have that, it can feel like there's something lacking that still needs to be worked on. So that's kind of what I touched upon today as I revisited and tried to finish that piece. So there's interesting things happening in the shapes, the wateriness going straight to the watercolor like this. Leslie says the LFI class was fantastic. Kiki, how did your workshop with the teenagers go? Yeah, I can tell you that was really cool. Lewis, you're asking me about this watercolor paper. It is watercolor paper. It is not 300 grams. I think it's 200. So it does warp a bit. It's 200 grams, which is 96 pounds paper. And cotton, I don't know. It doesn't say if it's cotton. It's Hanemüller. It's a toned paper. Hi, Lilo Fadenfish. So yeah, the workshop with the teenagers was really cool. There were 7 of them, which is probably good that it wasn't more, because we were collecting ideas for the mural that we're going to be working on together. And they all had so many ideas that now I have the challenge, the honor of taking all the ideas and all the stuff they wanted to draw and figure out how can this become one cohesive mural image, which we'll then be working on together in a week. So yeah, it was really interesting. We had a super fun quick sketch session in the beginning, and I got them and us drawing each other, and then I got them doing a blind contour drawings of each other, which was really, really, really cool. Because then they got, because yeah, we started with 30-second drawings, sketches like we often do. We do every Tuesday, and they like looked at the person they were drawing once, and then just head down, did a drawing, which is cool. But I wanted them to really get looking at each other, and then we did some blind contour drawing, and that was really cool, and everyone was laughing a lot, and the results were super fun. Like once they really switched into observing what's there mode and not worrying about what's on the paper, really, really, really cool stuff happened. So yeah, it was nice, and it went surprisingly fast. We spent 4 hours together, and there's going to be the follow-up sessions. I think we'll have like 3 painting sessions where we're actually going to be painting it onto a big tarp, it's going to be attached to the fence of the basketball court. It's an outdoor basketball court, and we'll be painting onto there, and there are a lot more kids registered for that part of the workshop. So a lot of them were interested in the practical part of actually coming and painting. So now my task is to figure out how the composition is going to work best. We decided on a few colors. Going to keep it a pretty limited palette, and somehow I'm going to tie it all together. It's going to be cool. I started painting around here to let all of this dry a bit before I go painting more into the face, because I would like some really clear distinction between the light and dark shapes. And it was interesting towards the end of the workshop. So the 7 kids that were there, we went through a bunch of inspiration, and I got to show them some cool work of friends and of other street art, which really inspires me. We had a look at Anjekan's work, and Mafalda, who's also a wonderful muralist and friend who's been on the Drawn Together show. And the kids were really into like coming up with their ideas and of how it can be anything, basically whatever they're interested in, that can be what the mural becomes. And then right at the end, some older kids came in, and they were really into, like they thought it was going to be like a graffiti workshop, and they're really into tagging and stuff. So they were kind of like, hey, this is not what we thought it would be. It was like, well, this is exactly what was advertised. Although I have an appreciation for graffiti and style writing, it's not my thing. So those kids came, and I had these really cool acrylic markers that the kids were working with, and they used those and did some tagging on paper and stuff. But yeah, so that's interesting to also cater to those kids and the kids who want to do more tagging and spraying and stuff. It's such a cool like community center. That the people there were like, okay, so we're going to do this, but those kids want to do that. And so to cater to them and also prevent them from painting over what the other kids do, let's get a space for them. So that is a super cool idea. And there's going to be, not simultaneously, but there will also be space made available and a workshop where they get to use spray paints and do some big style writing pieces and do what they want to do. And I think that's really cool because it needs just the context to be able to do it, to practice, go to practice to improve, and is often the case. A lot of the practice pieces they do are not quite legal. But yeah, this community centre is, I think they do so much great stuff for the neighbourhood, and a lot of the kids have kind of, the friend who I was working with while I was there, she said that she feels like they're her kids because she's been working there for so long. She knows so many of them from like kindergarten age, and yeah, it's so interesting. Such an interesting role that um, this well, what would you call it? Community centre. I've said it enough times, but it's like it's not really. I don't know if it's an institution, but it's just a great kind of place in the middle of this neighbourhood where a lot of people feel welcome, and yeah, it's cool. So it was good. Thank you for asking, Kiki. The workshop was good, and the work is far from over, because now I've got to figure out how is that going to work, and also when we had Anjekan on the Drawn Together show in the after party, I asked him like, oh, what's your experience like doing community art projects with a group, and how can you coordinate it so that like people are involved and it kind of guide it in a way that makes it really cool and everyone gets to participate, but it's still I wonder how much my role is of like how much of my sensibilities and ideas for how it could be, how much of it becomes like how much of my sense of it is going to guide the project and how much of it is them doing what they want to do. So somehow finding a balance of trying to guide the process to make something which is going to look really cool that a lot of people in the neighborhood will enjoy, and then of course have them be really involved and make it totally their thing, their space. So it's a really interesting process to be involved in. Yeah, and so they're going to be the kids that were there. They were involved in the ideation and developing a concept, and the ones that come along, they're going to be participating in bringing that to the surface that we're going to be working on. So then having it set up in a way to be like, okay, it's going to be like this and this and this, and you can help by doing this, and to give, it'll be interesting, that challenge of giving clear instructions so that people can productively work on what they want to do. But yeah, there's going to be 17 people are registered, and maybe there'll be more. Who knows? So yeah, just setting it up in a way so that everyone's going to be able to participate, and a lot can get done by 17 people. So it could. I'm sure I'll share some images of it once it's done. Lewis, very complicated painting without a prior drawing, very brave. Yes, you recommended it to me a long time ago, and here we are. Lewis, thank you for encouraging, supporting, and pushing me throughout the years. Hi Tommy, Oliver. Bonsoir, Isidore Atour. So yeah, look, this is the first one with no drawing. I think I've got this eye too high. I like the really wet stuff underneath, and just having some of that there. Like now, what I'm doing on top is a lot more kind of controlled and restrained, but just having some of those shapes beneath the surface, I think is really cool. Yes, I remember it's got to be, yeah, I was back in December, the first time I worked from one of Amy's portraits. Amy Horowitz, Don't Smile NYC. And she shared that most of her work focuses on, so it's in New York City, I can't remember the name of the place, but some neighborhood where a lot of the main focus of her photography is young adults in New York, and she just has so many great people, great faces, and very interesting characters that she's photographed. And I really like this idea of don't smile NYC, like taking portrait photos, but it's like you don't have to smile, just stare. And there's some very, very intense and very awesome portraits and photos that she's been able to capture in that way. And it was nice here with there's a few to this series of true, and after a couple of non-smiling photos, there are a couple of really nice ones where it looks like a big smile and a big laugh following on from the serious pose. Is it Washington Square Park in New York City? It could be. You'll probably recognize it if you are familiar with that place. And you check out Amy's Instagram, then you'll probably recognize it. And you can let me know next time. In the next stream, you can say it is that place, or maybe it's some other place. I don't know. Who here, live or watching the replay, has been to New York City? I have once. I went to the illustration masterclass in Amherst, Massachusetts, and stayed with a couple of illustration friends in New York, sleeping on the floor, and it was pretty exciting. I used to couch surf a lot, and so I was just super happy to have the chance to sleep on the floor in someone's apartment in New York, and it was pretty amazing. What I found like most kind of interesting was that, and I'd had it in other places, I traveled quite a lot in Europe, but I felt like when I was in New York City that so many of the views, it was like just from pop culture, from films and TV shows that I had watched, as I looked around, it's like, I've been here before. Like I already have this city in my mind, and now I'm here. And a lot of the things, of course, which I've seen in films take place in the city. It didn't really happen. But it's really interesting just to walk around a place where there's so much going on, where there's some part of me who feels like I've been there before, though I never have. That was very interesting. All right, we're heading up to 20 minutes, which I wanted to try and keep to 20 minutes. And if this dries a bit, I'll add a little bit of pencil, which is going to make me feel good on top. But I feel like I did pretty well starting straight to paint today for the first time. It feels like I have potential. Sometimes I would like to get even wetter in the process and experiment more with wet on wet, but it's really a technique which I think it needs time. If anyone has any tips for fast wet and wet painting, then you could let me know. But from pieces I've done in the past, I've done a lot of ink wash painting and watercolor painting as well, and part of the process is often just the time, the breaks in between, letting things dry before you continue. So trying to make it happen in 20 minutes is an interesting new challenge, but I feel like it's a very beneficial thing to try. Leslie, yes, just followed her. You live one state over. See the monument in the background. Oh yeah, and it looks like l'Arc de Triomphe in Paris, right? Is it kind of like that archway? Great street photography and subway. Hello, Ashley. Or welcome. You've made it here for the end. That's great. You can watch the replay as soon as this is finished. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. If you've made it this far, put your drawing hand emoji in the chat, or a paintbrush emoji has recently been discovered. Pretty appropriate this month, perhaps more so than the drawing hand. Or you could, yeah, it depends. You could also just write. Some people have just been writing drawing hand, painting hand. Whatever you've been working with, you could write that in the chat as well. And that goes for you too, if you're watching the replay. I very much appreciate everyone interacting in the live chat, but I'm talking to you as well in the future, watching this replay. Okay, that might actually be it. I'm not going to draw anything on top of here, because the things I thought I'd draw, I just went and brushed over partially, but maybe tomorrow when this is dry I'll draw a bit more on top of it. Rave 222, too busy trying to accomplish something reasonably resembling the picture. Awesome. Lydia says, wouldn't have the patience to watch paint dry, so you use a blow dryer to speed things up. Yeah, or just live in a warm, dry climate. That's probably would help dry things up, speed up the process a bit. Just realised I've got to do something with these eyelashes, the eyes. That will be, make it feel a bit more finished. Was that a good decision right now? To watch paint dry paintings. When I was doing a lot of the natural ink portraits, I'll just go away and let it dry, and then come back when it was dry and keep going. Okay, that's it for today. And just to wrap this up, I'm going to show you the piece I was working on in the Procreate workshop. Lewis, yes. That's your fantastic selection of two complementary colours. The red and green. Thank you so much for your wisdom and advice on the Discord server, sharing colour suggestions for us to work with. This is cool. Drawing on top of this will be fun. Yeah, so this is, oh hang on, I could actually do it a different way. I made a few different versions of it, which I will post to Instagram. But this, I kept working on the piece after the workshop because I felt like I wanted to do more. And So this went beyond what we did in the workshop, but here are a few different color iterations, which is like one of the most fun things to do on Procreate. Once all the portrait part is done, just playing around with color variations is so cool and so easy to do. It's like you've already done all the work, and then you can just magically change the color and see like, oh, what would this image look like if it was like this or like this. This is like maybe one of the most fun parts. You can spend ages working on the portrait, trying to get everything right, and then you can just go boom, 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 and you have like 20 different versions of the same portrait, all looking interestingly different, but all based on the foundation of whatever you managed to do before you started playing with color. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I've been doing. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you all rest well. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so like every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. German time, we'll be drawing together in Zoom. Please come draw with us. And I look forward to seeing your sketches. So if you're sharing on Instagram, you can tag me, tag True, tag Amy. And if you're on the Discord server, which I hope you are, there are now 317 of us over there. You can share your work there. And I think that's probably the coolest place to share it, because you just get to see what everyone's been doing. It's all like based on these daily reference photos, and I'll just put the link in the chat. And if you're not already there, then please do come join the fun over on my Discord server. There are also other parallel conversations happening there, which are also fun. Thanks everyone.